I'm teacher Nitin Sai, studying in University of Wollongong. I'm doing my research in interfacing of energy resource utilization in rural areas. Coming to the topic, interfacing of the energy resource utilization in rural areas. In rural areas, there's a lot of problem of electrification when compared to urban areas, because most of the technology development is concentrated in urban areas rather than in rural areas. So I chose this topic so as to support or so as to do research and find some new technology interfacing in rural areas. So we know that there are a lot of renewable resources which are free, and we can use energy to many extent. There are different types of renewable sources of energy, but in them these five are the major renewable sources of energy. Coming to the first one, it's solar energy. As you know, solar energy is abundantly available in the environment, and we can extract the solar energy by using PV cell or a solar panel. And the efficiency of solar energy is also good. Next one is the wind energy. Wind energy, we can extract wind energy by putting long turbines and making it to rotate. And compared to solar energy, wind energy efficiency is little bit low, but still it can use for electrification of rural areas. And the third one is the biomass. Biomass is one of the major energy supply in rural areas, because there's a lot of agricultural wastages and cattle wastage from which we can produce biomass and even electricity. Hydropower is nothing but putting the turbines or placing turbines in the rivers or lakes and producing electricity from them. But when compared to solar energy, again hydropower energy is not suitable for every place, since major of the villages consist of the stagnant rivers or lakes. So for this hydropower energy, we need a lake which is moving or flow of the river. And the last one is the energy from the agricultural waste. Agricultural waste like rice husk and tobacco briquetting are abundantly available in rural areas. And tobacco briquetting is used in China at present, and it is producing 70% of the urban electricity. So it might be one of the good renewable resources also to produce electricity in rural areas. Coming to conventional grid. Conventional grid is nothing but the grid which is in urban areas. That is the grid in which the power is stored and supplied to different parts of the state or the city. So there are many advantages and disadvantages of conventional grid. Coming to advantages, we can produce the electricity in a bulk production. That is, if you install a power plant in an urban city and produce some 500 to 600 megawatts and supply to the others, that will be easy rather than producing small quantities of power. And master control is nothing but if you got any fault, or if you have to control or stop electricity supply to one part of a rural area or a city, you can easily do it from the conventional grid, like disconnecting that part of the grid and supplying that to the other part of the grid where the demand is high. So that can be easily done by conventional grid. Coming to disadvantages, when we are transporting or transmission of electricity from urban to rural, that involves a lot of transmission losses because of the cables we use, and copper losses, heat losses, everything. The energy, 20% of the energy is lost in the losses. So rather than losing the energy, we can even use that in more efficient way by putting mini grids. So less optimization is the cost of the energy unit is very high when we compare with the mini grid system, since it involves the transmission cost, generation cost, distribution cost. So when we compare all the costs with the mini grid, the cost is very high. So that is one of the disadvantages of conventional grid. Why we need mini grids in rural areas? In rural areas, the area is very small and the demand required by the people is very less when we compare with the urban population or the area. So it is very easy to control easy to control the flow of electricity or easy to distribute the electricity in between very less amount of people rather than transporting it from urban place. Available renewable resource energy. We can produce or we can store the energy from the renewable energy sources in the mini grids and supply to a cluster of villages or a group of villages and make sure that the demand needs of the villages are needed. Next, demand in the rural areas. As I said, demand in rural areas is very less since the population is very less and the major electricity utilization is agriculture. So we can easily supply energy as per the demand needs of the rural areas. Cost per unit will be less when compared to conventional grid. This is one of the major advantages why mini grids has to be installed. Since the energy is freely produced from the renewable sources, the cost of investment, except the cost of investment and everything, the cost of equipment is very less and we can easily freely produce the energy, hence the cost of the energy unit is very less when compared to conventional grid. Problems with mini grid. It's not easy to install a mini grid wherever and however you want, since there are a lot of environmental conditions to be considered and even consistency of energy output is the main thing to concern, because as we know the renewable source of energy is not constant every time and every season. Since the solar energy is a major part of the renewable energy, it can produce maximum efficiency only in time of summer but not in the time of rainy and winter. Hence the consistency of energy is not maintained and it causes problem in supplying the demand needs of the people. And next is the cost of investment. The initial cost of investment or initial cost of installing a grid is very high when compared to conventional grid. Although it's just a one-time investment, but still the starting of the investment should be supported by the government or any other higher official, so that would be easy to install a mini grid in rural areas. That is also one thing of concern. And the last one is power distribution problems. Coming to power distribution problems, after generation you need to distribute power in different parts of the rural areas and you need to have a separate equipment for everything, transmission, distribution and generation. Hence again it comes to the cost of the equipment. So it's all a one-time investment, and the distribution problems like losses and any fault identification, fault clearance is also difficult when we compare with the conventional grid than in a mini grid. So the remedies, how can we make the mini grids better, are by using some backup sources. Backup energy sources is nothing but when the energy by renewable resources is less than the demand needed by the people. These backup energy sources like batteries or any other energy sources can be used to give back the energy. Demand assessment. Demand assessment is one of the thing, by assessing the demand we can see the when to use the backup sources or not, or store energy whenever we need. Transportation and optimization calculation, that is the transmission losses and cost of the unit. Demand side management. Demand side management is nothing but whenever the demand is low, the energy has to be stored in a backup source, or whenever the demand is high, it is supplied by the backup source. So that is to be assessed in a regular parts. Integration of renewable resources. By integrating 2 or 3 renewable resources, one as a main renewable source and other as a backup, we can reach the demand of the people. Hence we conclude that it is not that easy, but we can replace conventional grid with mini grid by integrating the renewable energy resources in rural areas, and we are able to meet the energy requirements of the people and even decrease the burden on the urban grid, that is decrease the cost of investment and also the losses, transmission losses. Hence it's easy when we use a mini grid rather than conventional grid. Thank you.